My name is Spencer Schubert. I'm the communications manager for the city of Grand Island. And as you know today, the last 24 hours here in Grand Island have been quite eventful. So we've compiled all of the decision makers and people that have really helped Grand Island get back on its feet as fast as it has over the last 24 hours. We have Grand Island Mayor Roger Steele, Grand Island and Hall County Emergency Management Director John Rosenland, Grand Island Police Chief Kevin Denny, Grand Island Fire Chief Corey Schmidt, and Grand Island Public Works Director Keith Kurz. We also have the Hall County Board Chairman Ron Peterson with us here this afternoon, as well as Central Platte NRD Assistant Manager Jess Mintkin. So without further ado, I'll step out of the way and introduce Mayor Roger Steele.
Thank you, Spencer. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. As you know, Grand Island was hit with a powerful and historic rainstorm overnight, bringing with it more than 7 inches of rain, a number that approaches record territory for a single-day rainfall in our city's history. As a result, many of our neighborhoods, roads, and businesses are now dealing with the impact of flash flooding. While this event has caused significant disruption and damage, I want to begin by recognizing the truly remarkable, the preparedness, professionalism, and dedication of our city's departments. From the first warnings issued by the National Weather Service, our emergency management team, led by John Rosenland, moved quickly to monitor the situation and coordinate resources. The Grand Island Police Department responded to dozens of calls assisting stranded motorists and keeping our roads as safe as possible through the night. Our fire department was prepared and ready. Our utilities crews were responding to power and infrastructure concerns, and our streets and public works staff have been out all night addressing flooded intersections and blocked drainage areas. What we've seen over the past 12 hours is what it looks like when a city is ready, when its people and its plans come together. And although this was a storm of extraordinary magnitude, our teams were ready and already in motion before the first inch of rain hit the ground. I want to thank each and every city employee who worked throughout the night and who continues to respond today. I also want to thank the residents of Grand Island. Many of you made the right choices, staying home, avoiding flooded roadways, and looking out for your neighbors. We've heard stories of neighbors helping neighbors, of strangers offering rides or shelter, and of businesses opening their doors to those in need. That's the heart of this city, and it's why we'll get through this together. While we expect there to be property damage, we are encouraged by the fact of no reported injuries. While we can expect unusual weather from time to time, it is your personal safety that is our highest priority. As we move forward, our departments are working hard to assess the damage, which you will hear about in a moment. But we ask for your patience and continued caution. Avoid flooded roads. Obey detours and road signage. And if you've experienced damage, please self-report it through the Hall County Emergency Management online portal so we can ensure help is being directed where it's needed most. We are committed to keeping you informed, and our communications office will continue to provide regular updates as the situation develops. Our top priority remains your safety, and every decision we make today and in the days ahead will reflect that commitment. We will now hear a report from John Rosenland, the Grand Island and Hall County Emergency Management Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that, and I appreciate the vote of confidence. A lot going on in the last 12 hours. Just to give if I could give a short recap. Around 11:10 p.m. last night, the National Weather Service in Hastings issued a flash flood warning, and then around 11:45, as the conditions worsened even more, the National Weather Service issued what they call a flash flood emergency catastrophic warning. And many of you in the community received the integrated public alert warning system message on your cell phones, notifying you of the danger. This IPAWS alert, as we call it, allows us, in a partnership with partners like the National Weather Service, to ensure that life-saving information and warning is given to residents so they can take the kind of measures necessary to help themselves stay out of danger and avoid becoming a victim of a disaster. Around that same time, we were opening up the Emergency Operations Center, located there at the corner of 13th and North. We invited the participating agencies, police, fire, and our streets department to come, and in that Emergency Operations Center, create a multi-agency coordination group which can and does coordinate information, efforts, resources, and coming up with solutions to problems as they arise. That EOC MAC group team operated through the night, leading the efforts in coordinating all of our active police, fire, and public works agencies in a cohesive effort to respond to calls, whether it was stranded motorists in the middle of a flooded roadway or homeowners that were concerned about if their home was safe and effective, and giving good advice to those who were safe and dry to shelter in place and wait for the storm to end. Around 2:45, the flash flood emergency warning was expired, but the flash flood warning continued. And through close coordination with the National Weather Service, we were able to give and exchange some pretty vital information between the 911 Center, the Emergency Operations Center, and our friends there down in Hastings to ensure that everybody had a good common operating picture. Very grateful for all the staff at the National Weather Service in Hastings. They gave good, effective information, great forecast, and provided us actually some pretty impressive computer models on flood modeling that could help us anticipate some of the future flooding that we have seen today. The operational period for this morning started about 7 a.m. We gathered all the city departments together for a briefing, advised them of what had occurred overnight, formulated a plan of action amidst all of the public safety agencies and the non-public safety agencies of the city and the county that were present. Coordinated the initial plan for damage assessment, including drone flights, a cooperative effort between the city and the county to ensure that we could get the most effective information and that aerial footage can provide us a lot of great information quickly and quite effectively. As daylight provided us opportunity for ground truth reporting on flooding, we were able to receive from the Streets Department and the county roads updates on which roads are and are not available. Those roads and their closures are listed on the city's cone zone and the county's cone zone websites, and so you can find real-time map updates. And we encourage everybody to refer to those cone zone maps routinely. And then we released information about the citizen reporting tool through our social media. This allows us to crowdsource damage assessments of your home, your business, and your area to give us some of that initial information, and then we can turn around and then in the coming day we'll send our own damage assessment teams to assist in a door-to-door damage assessment. As the mayor mentioned, we did receive a tremendous amount of rain. National Weather Service reports 7.13 inches of rain in this storm. That's second highest on record, second only to the 2005 May storms that, as some of you who were here at that time remember, that was a very significant flooding event. It's important also to remember the great work that the public provided today. There's a lot of concern, there's a lot of movement, but we also saw a tremendous amount of wise decision-making, individuals avoiding flooded roads, avoiding taking their vehicle in areas where they really shouldn't go. And I want to personally thank all those that were participating, not just with our emergency response agencies, but all of our partners. And I've had nothing but a mornings filled with our own local community efforts and community organizations reaching out to our office, asking for ways that they can assist and asking for ways that they can contribute to the recovery. As we are completing this preliminary damage assessment and we have a better idea of the true scope of the damage and the impact, then we're going to be able to leverage the community resiliency that exists in Grand Island and put those resources to bear for those that are in need. So after this, I'll turn the time over to the police chief.
Thank you. Last night, in coordination with the fire department and emergency management, the police department activated our emergency rescue vehicle, which is essentially a large, heavy vehicle that has deep water fording ability. Through that, we were able to safely effectuate a few rescues from vehicles and from residences. So to break down some of the numbers, we had 107 calls for service between midnight last night and 11 a.m. this morning. So between midnight and 11 a.m., we had 107 total calls for service. Of those, we had 11 assist citizens, 2 of which were rescues from residences, 2 separate residential areas. We also had 11 assist citizens, 23 motorist assists, and we had 40 traffic hazards cleared as well. Currently, as we stand, we're down to less than a half dozen vehicles that we're still trying to clear from the roadways. But this vehicle, this emergency rescue vehicle, gave us the ability to help out in several of these high water rescues where otherwise it might have been much more difficult. Thank you.
My name is Fire Chief Corey Schmidt, and I represent Grand Island Fire Department as well as the City of Grand Island. It's been said over and often from the other speakers, really, we're fortunate because we were prepared. So that preparation really made the incident that we faced not as severe as it could have been. And our crews, at least the Grand Island Fire Department, started to respond to various types of incidences around 2,300 hours. Just like Chief Denny had mentioned, between 2,300 hours and 0700 this morning, the fire department responded to quite a few calls for service, but those calls for service weren't much more than our normal number of calls for service for any given night. In fact, we respond to 14 calls for service during that period, of which only 4 of those were directly related to the flood. And I think, like I said earlier, the reason for that is people made good choices. They chose to stay home, and Grand Island is filled with the type of people that exercise good judgment, and that was on full display. Also, I feel that the time of day, or in this case, the time of night where this took place, aided us in not having a lot of people at work or commuting to where they were safely able to stay someplace besides on the road where they would possibly have to be rescued. So overall, we were fortunate, but again, I don't like to base things on luck. I would say the community has done a great job. The city agencies have done a great job preparing for incidences such as this, and that's a testament to the effort and the support we get from our community members as well as elected officials. So we were very prepared. And like was said earlier, the Grand Island Fire Department responded to multiple calls for service, but none of those calls were based on an injury of a civilian or any of our staff, so very, very fortunate. We did have one small issue with our ladder truck when we were responding to an automatic fire alarm. The path that we had to take involved some deeper water, so we suffered a mechanical issue, but from what I've been told, it's very minor, and we'll be back in service soon, ready to respond. And ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, of the 14 calls we responded to, they were handled in a very professional manner and very timely. And overall, based on the circumstances that we faced, I think we all did a great job, and I'm proud of my people, and I'm proud to be part of the city of Grand Island.
Keith Kurtz, Public Works Department. As others have mentioned before, we did experience some flooding in streets here in town. Earliest probably were obviously the underpasses, Eddy and Sycamore. Also the underpasses under the Burlington Northern up on Oak and Capitol were closed briefly, as well as Highway 30, 2nd Street was closed as well on the other side, or down the street here from City Hall, briefly as well. All of those are open except for Eddy Underpass at this time. Primarily right now, a majority of the flooding or flooded streets are in the northwest portion of town, west of 281, in the State, Deers, Capitol corridor. Obviously, we are seeing the water trend down as it moves through town to the northeast. So patience is the key, I guess, in that regard, just to let the water flow through town. Like I indicated, some of the detention cells, obviously they all worked as we designed, but some of them are visibly water level is receding, so all of that is good. We just ask for patience. In a normal, 5 to 10 year event, maybe an inch or two of rain, we usually like to say 24 hours, give it 24 hours to kind of work through the system. Obviously, with this large 7-inch rain, we probably need to be looking at a 48-hour or longer window to let it work through town. But like I mentioned, everything is trending down at this time. Obviously, we have good coordination amongst our departments. Street crews were out responding to flooding and closing roads as appropriate. So that worked in that regard. There was a lot of, like I said, good coordination, and yeah, I think everybody performed well. Turn it over to County Chairman, or whoever wants to go.
I'm Ron Peterson. I'm chairman of the county board. The first thing I would say is that we are very lucky to have John Roseland and his crew to work with in terms of planning for all these events. The county roads were impacted in the sense that there was a lot of roads that were closed for a short period of time. There are probably still some closures out there. I would encourage the public to report any issues that they have out in the county, because obviously we can't be on every road, and report any issues that they may be having. But otherwise, I just am very pleased with the response of everybody, and the public has been very good about avoiding some of the areas that are problem areas. So I don't have anything else unless there's any questions.
I'm Jess Minkin, the assistant manager with Central Platte Natural Resource District. Our two major flood control or flood mitigation projects that we have here for the city of Grand Island are working as they should. Our Wood River Diversion Project is just starting to see the rain from west of town go down the diversion, and then our Prairie Silver Morse project is also in that same scenario where we're just starting to see the flows from Silver Creek come into the detention cells 6 miles west of town. So I do anticipate that there will be flows for a couple days going down both Wood River Diversion and Silver Creek. So thank you.
Okay, and at this time, we'll open up questions to the media. I have a microphone here because we are live casting this event, so feel free to raise your hand and I can come to you with the microphone. Jeff.
Keith, did you say most of the flooding was in the northwest part of town, west of 281, in the State Deers Capital Corridor?
Currently, that's where a majority of it is. I should have clarified that. Most of the other regions that were flooded or experiencing flooding in streets have receded to the fact that I'm not saying it's all gone, but it's a lot better. I would say a majority of the issues or the deeper flooding would be up in the northwest part of town.
And you said 2nd Street was closed for a while?
For a brief time. Primarily on this end of the overpass, there was some flooding, so they decided to close it this morning.
Casey?
As far as Eddy Street goes, is there any idea when that will get back open?
I don't have a specific time for that. Obviously, Eddy Street is a lot wider than Sycamore. We recently did some upgrades to the pumps in Sycamore, so that helped out too. I also learned that one of the pumps in the Eddy Street underpass had some issues plugging just recently, so that's slowing it down a little bit too. So all of those things combined. We're hopeful that it'll be open yet today, but I can't guarantee any of that. Another thing I should mention, I don't know, obviously Public Works oversees the wastewater division as well. We had some reports of sewer backups. Again, if anybody has any of those, reach out to the city and we can talk through that. The plant this morning, the wastewater treatment plant, topped out at 44 MGD, which is a very large amount of water. Obviously, when we have streets underwater, we have manhole lids underwater that are leaking into the system. It's just as widespread as everything was, that definitely impacted that. But again, we're seeing that flow trend down now. So I believe the worst is through. But with that being said, if people can use as little water as they can, that would help that situation out, just temporarily. So that would help the system recover.
So my question is for the mayor or the police chief. Either one could answer, but as you know, you can't keep everyone happy. So what is your message to residents that feel like more could have been done or prevented?
Your question is what more we could have done to prevent?
What's your message to residents that feel like more could have been done?
I think we plan for these types of events for years and continually. So I don't know at this early stage whether we could have done something more. Now, we will review our processes and see if for a future rain event like this, whether there's something we can do in our process to make things better. And one thing I thought about today, there's been so much work done with the Silver Creek Moores Drainway and with the Wood River diversion. That has helped Grand Island an awful lot. But my impression is that those flood remediation efforts usually divert water that's trespassing upon Grand Island from elsewhere. This was a rain event that happened right on top of Grand Island. And while I'm not a hydrologist, I don't know, I cannot explain what help those drainways may have been for this type of incidents, but I would say this is unique in that this was not water intruding on Grand Island from elsewhere. It was just a rain event that poured down on Grand Island. But your question is valid because we will have to do an analysis of our response. I'm very pleased with our response at this time, but that does not mean we cannot do better, and we will use this rain event as a learning experience for us. But I would say it's a little early right now for us to make a determination that, you know, we should have done something else differently. But we will look at that. Chief?
Thank you. I'd just like to add that here in Grand Island we have exceptional leadership top down, and that really contributed to how quickly we responded to this. So once the Emergency Operations Center was open, we contributed people from the police department there. There was great, excellent coordination with John Roseland and his staff, along with the exceptional police supervisors that we have in the field with the officers out there. So they were able to get the emergency rescue vehicle in action very quickly, and we pivoted and responded very quickly to the high water incidents involving vehicles and residents as well. So I would just say that looking at it initially, early on in the stage, the responses were very quick. And a lot of that is due to the exceptional police officers we have in Grand Island, along with the leadership that supervises that as well.
My next question is for John. You spoke about apps, the apps that you all use for residents and neighbors to notify others. How did that aid you guys and all the other departments in, good grief, how did that aid you and all the other departments in helping these residents and neighbors during from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. this morning? Does that make sense?
It does. When you give people great information, accurate information, and timely information, it allows them to make wise and beneficial decisions for themselves and for others. Through the Integrated Public Alert Warning System, we call it IPAWS, it gives us the opportunity to really reach out through a wide variety of tools to warn and inform the public on things that they can and should be doing to protect themselves and others. Fortunately, the IPAWS alert utilizes a feature of your cell phone that's already turned on. A person can turn it off. We don't think it's wise. But in so doing, it allows us to reach out and touch an individual at an individual basis, person per person, that we never had before. Throughout my entire career, the ability to push information, necessary life-saving information, to the public had always been a challenge in today's modern technology, where we carry little computers in our pockets all day long, all the time. It provides us an opportunity to reach out and give good, accurate, factual information in a very quick and comprehensive way. And and we built a system where that decision-making can happen at the ground level. And so a police sergeant, for instance, can make that request, and our 911 dispatchers can institute that warning without necessarily having to check for sure. And we had some conversations last night on, really frankly, at 11:30 at night, should we wake up everyone to tell them to not to leave their house? And that's an important conversation to have, is how do we utilize a warning system so that we're not annoying the public, but we're really creating a system where if we alert them, it really means something, they take it seriously. And then working closely with the National Weather Service, when they were asking, should we initiate this flash flood catastrophic emergency? And the answer is yes, thank you very much. And that's what and that's what allows us then to provide good, accurate, timely information. But it really comes down to well-trained people. The police chief mentioned that the initial moments of this incident were handled by by great individuals without their upper management having to give them direction. They knew what to do, and they did it really well. And when certain management or administrative decisions need to be made, we gather in the Emergency Operations Center to provide that support. A 911 center doesn't have mutual aid. There's no backup for a 911 dispatcher except the Emergency Operations Center. And the staff and the representatives from the various agencies who gather together in that multi-agency coordination group. They provide that coordination. They ease the burden on a very busy dispatch center. And then they share in a very synergistic way that communication and coordination balance. I was really proud of what occurred last night. It's the type of synergistic partner relationship between the EOC and the 911 center that you want to see. It's hard to create it. You have to wait for something bad to happen before you can realize that you have a system and a staff that can perform in such a way.
The next question is just, when it comes to those pools of standing water that's still left up in northern Grand Island, what's the encouragement, not just with driving, but like not walking through it or anything like that, just not to go into those unknown puddles of water?
Yeah, it's really important that we don't walk through the water. In fact, our Central District Health Department director is here in the back of the room, Teresa Anderson, and that was her first conversation this morning to me at 7:30 is, how can we get the message out? And the message is, stay out of the water. Stay out of the water. You really need to remember that this water has been everywhere and has picked up traces of everything before it got to you. You really want to avoid that water. In time, as water flows through, the natural tendency is that it sheds a lot of these contaminants. Stay out of the water. Not just for your own safety, for contaminant reasons, but there's no need to be playing in it. There's no need to be underestimating the power of moving water. And it may look like a pool, but you'll be surprised how pools move. And I would hate to see some careless behavior lead to tragedy in a time when we should be recovering and getting over it.
Roger, just a clarification question. From my understanding, when the city declared the state of emergency, it will receive state and federal funding. I'm just curious how much funding and how that funding will be used. Will it just be used to get the water off the streets, out of the ditches, to clear some of those traffic hazards out of the way? What might be that funding?
That's an excellent question. And really, by signing the emergency declaration, one of the initial things it authorizes us to do is to make emergency purchases. For instance, if we needed more road barricades or something like that, we could acquire those more quickly. Now, I don't think we'll need that, but the other reason I signed the emergency declaration is because it starts a process where if we needed to, we could request mutual aid from other cities. And it also starts the conversation with the state of Nebraska and their potential emergency funding. So as of this morning, I have no knowledge of what will come from the emergency declaration, except that it starts the process, and we're very early in the process. But it's routine with an event like this. There will probably be people with property damage and other issues. This starts the process where we can access potential emergency flooding. But right now it's too early to say because we have to run it up to the state and see what their response will be.
Just to follow up to that, you mentioned that you can request mutual aid from other cities. I'm just curious, is that as simple as Lincoln can kind of donate money to the city of Grand Island, and has that happened before? How much?
It's typically requesting emergency responders from other cities, whether that be police or fire. utilities workers. That's the way it usually works, is if we feel we are inundated and do not have enough help, and quite frankly, we respond to other communities frequently. For instance, it's not uncommon that our utilities workers will go to other communities that have been devastated by flooding or fires or other natural catastrophes, and we help out. So the emergency declaration lays the groundwork if we need additional help. At this time, we don't anticipate any, but to cover all bases, to be sure, that's why I signed that declaration.
You folks heard anything about what this rainfall means to the 4-H shooters who were in town, thousands of people from elsewhere?
I heard anecdotally that there was some water passing over Husker Highway, but that the participants proceeded through that on their way to the shooting park. And Spencer, do you have any more current information? So I really don't have a good answer for that, because that was just a comment that was made to me about some water over Husker Highway, but motorists were passing through it, which I would assume means, I shouldn't assume, but I assume it wasn't that significant of flooding.
Okay. Before we conclude today, I did want to invite to the podium the director of the Central District Health Department as well. Teresa Anderson is here to kind of talk about what John said a little bit about getting in the water, but also just represent the health department going forward with some of the waters that are out there.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm very pleased to have a small part in this group of experts who responded so quickly and appropriately and minimized the damage and the potential for injury. My perspective on this from the public health viewpoint is that a couple of things. One is keep your kiddos out of the water, please. The water is a bad place right now, except unless you go to Island to Wasteless. But you'll want to stay out of the water. There are chemicals in there. There's bacteria. It's so easy to breathe in some of those germs or swallow a little bit of that water and have some long-term consequences from that. So stay out of the water. The other thing we'd like to mention right now is that we know some folks have private wells, and anytime water covers the wellhead, we need to test that water to make sure that that water is still safe. So if you have a private well and the water has exceeded the limit on it, bring us a sample and we can test it and make sure that we didn't get bacteria in your water. So that's number 2. Number 3 is in days to come, those folks that have water in their basements, after they get that water out, they're going to probably see some mold issues. And in the next couple of days, we'll be putting out a news release to help people understand what steps they can take to minimize the mold damage in their homes and to minimize their exposure to some of the more toxic pieces of that mold. The last thing is, and this is a week or 2 down the road, we're going to see more mosquitoes from that water that's standing on the land, but also in your backyards, in your front yards. If you have anything that's holding water, any flower pots, any swimming pools that are those daytime swimming pools, empty all of the water so that we can reduce that the mosquito growth and keep that population at bay. That's all I have. Just those 4 important points going forward.
All right, thank you so much, Teresa, and thank you, media, for attending today's press conference.